Hey everybody, I wanted to do a little bit of an introduction and so you guys know who the face behind Coastal Coffee is. Yes. I am from Washington State. I was born and raised in an area, they call it the apple capital of the world. So my family actually had a ton of acreage of orchards, and so a couple generations of my family was on the orchard. We had apples and pears and cherries and peaches. So I was actually raised on an orchard. My brother and I, we actually would spend our spring breaks and our summer breaks up there. We would help out with basically the family business. And up until I turned 18, that's where I resided. So coffee in Seattle, and I guess in Washington State in general, is very enriched. Seattle is the coffee capital of the United States. So there's a lot of organic growth there for coffee, the coffee industry in general. It's just really popular. So in my hometown, we had a lot of double drive-through coffee shops, and it was just a way of life back in the day. I actually started drinking coffee at a probably fairly young age. I've always been in love with coffee. I think it brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. There's nothing better than having, your first sip of coffee in the morning. And so I think it always comes out with this positive vibe, and that's something I've always been drawn to. So when I turned 18 years old, I actually moved down to Utah, and I attended a drafting and architecture school. So my original goal was I actually wanted to be an architect. So I started going to school back when I was 18 down in Utah, and I ended up getting married. My husband was in the Air Force. So he was stationed in Utah at the time. And throughout our time together, he and we got to move to England. We spent a few years there. We had a daughter. My daughter, Anne Berlin, she is a Gold Star kid, but she is my oldest. And so we lived in England for a few years, and then we got stationed up in DC area where my husband actually became a federal agent. I've always been around coffee. So anywhere we would travel, I would travel a lot with my daughter, and we would just go and I would experience different coffee from different areas. And so any place I had ever traveled to, I'd always want to find the local coffee shops and be able to just experience what they had to offer. So England was pretty unique in its own way because they have a different perspective on coffee, and they don't, I feel like the United States has a lot of it's the sweeter things in life. And so when you go over to places like England, it's very raw and it's organic. When you want to try their coffee, it's very natural. So I was really happy and overjoyed. Some of you guys may know this, but my husband passed away in 2015, and I had the opportunity to move either back home or really anywhere. The military was going to give me one move, and I chose Wilmington, North Carolina on a map. So I came down here. I had 2 kids at the time, so I have a younger daughter and an older daughter. And so we moved down to Wilmington, North Carolina, and we kind of restarted ourselves with this new life. I wanted to live by the beach. I wanted to be on the coast. I grew up actually traveling up and down the West Coast. And so it's always been a good place I feel at home. So I came down here for the tranquility and the peace. So I started Coastal Coffee Company in 2022. I actually started with the online presence. I started working with that on my website. You can see I have several coffee options. I originally wanted to get that home feeling of Washington style coffee. It's very unique. If you've ever been to the West Coast, they just have a different perspective on coffee in general. There's a lot of great franchises out there, and I can see that, they're kind of starting to make their way towards the East Coast, which is awesome. I wanted to bring this upbringing that I had with coffee, and I wanted to bring it to the East Coast. So originally that was my goal, was to open a coffee shop and be able to provide that service and that joy that I grew up knowing back home. I am growing, I'm evolving, I'm learning every single day about the business. I really do have the knack to continue to grow with you guys, But I really appreciate everyone that's taken the journey with me, because this means a lot to me. I've come through a lot of trials and tribulations where I've really had to restart a lot of my life. And so it means a lot to me that you guys are taking the opportunity to join me on this journey and trusting me as well. I typically have a fun personality online. When you see my X page, I definitely love to engage with people, and it really feeds my soul. But I also cannot thank you guys enough for the support. This is helping my children. I definitely want them to have the business sense and also learn what it takes, the sweat equity that I've been putting in myself to have this successful business for my kids. And I can't thank you guys enough for all the things you guys have done, the support. So thank you guys for everything, and stay tuned. We're going to have more products coming out. I cannot wait for you guys to see what we're coming up with next.